Second Corinthians chapter 12 verse 9 to say 11 talks about thorns, right? Paul at that time was faced with this, problem of, the thorn, his weakness. And what I come to understand from there is like, as a believer, we have different problems. I mean, that we go through, that we face, and that we are loaded with. And it's at that point that we try to find a way about it. And we sometimes might even say, nah, this is me. I can do it and I can sort it out. And that's the message that we pass on to other people too. We want people to see our strengths, rather than our weaknesses. And when they see our weaknesses, we are, kind of like, nah, this is it. We are more defensive. And in that part, we get to see that, it's not helping. There's no progress. There's no proper understanding of what God is talking about, when he talks about, from the passage of 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 9 specifically, that talks about, my grace being sufficient for you and my strength is made perfect in your weakness. Just understanding that is like saying, you can never really understand God and the, how merciful and how sufficient his grace is, how his forgiveness is sufficient, and how, that actually transcends time. It's hard for us to see that in a view of, even being gracious to one another. You might have wronged someone, or someone might have wronged you. And the next thing that you want to do is to, call that person out and even try to, dog that person out to see that there's no redemption to that person. But I think the place of grace comes in when you understand the sufficiency of God's grace. In that way, you're able to give grace, because guess what? You're moving around the corner, you're pointing fingers at people. You can't help it but to point fingers at people. Well, how about when people point fingers at you? Would you like to receive grace? And so in that way, you would also want to show grace because you receive it. And if you want to keep calling people out and be ungracious to people, then I don't know how we get to, find grace in ourselves. And so the only way to see it is that we want to see people do well as believers. We want to see people become well. And it's in the sufficiency of the grace that God gives us. It's not something that we can manage ourselves. So we have to ask God to teach us, how to be gracious, to teach us this discipline and this way to go about, being gracious to one another, so that we can also receive it, and so that, we all know how to live with one another. Because there's no point in actually, being so ungracious when we are enjoying that grace daily. So the message today is we need to be gracious. As much as we have received that grace, let us also give that grace to one another. And let's try to see the potential and the tendency of becoming better, rather than try to see each other just, go out and lose everything, all because of nothing, really. Nothing. Because, it's like that servant who was forgiven and then turned back and, persecuted his brother. We don't want that happening, and we don't want to live that kind of life. So may God help us to be gracious, and that's the message for today. Be gracious and be blessed. It's your boy Abelos, and that's just what I have for today. God bless you all. Be gracious.